All right, so I'd like to call the business meeting of the Portland Board of Public Education to order. It is Tuesday, April 7th, 2020, and the Portland Board of Public Education is meeting virtually through Zoom. May I please ask the superintendent to call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Ms. Thompson?
Here.
Ms. Trevorrow?
Here.
Ms. Bondo?
Présent.
Mr. Burke?
Here.
Mr. Atkinson?
Here.
Ms. Habib Saeed?
Here.
Mr. Balfons?
Here.
Ms. Figdor?
Here.
Ms. Morioni?
Here.
And Chair Rodriguez?
Presente.
And I think I've got everybody.
I think you forgot me. Sorry.
Oh, who did I forget?
Stephanie.
Stephanie, sorry.
I'm
Ms.
here.
Brown.
Here.
And
Gali.
is Magali here?
Yes, I'm here.
Ms. Magana?
We got them all, I think. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I think Javier is going to screen or share his screen with a... Oh, we don't have the flag today.
Don't have the gift today, so sorry.
All right, we're going to do a Pledge of Allegiance. Like I said last week, we don't have to stand so that we don't have midsection shots of everyone. And unfortunately, we don't have the flag to project on the screen, but we'll go with it.
I have the flag somewhere.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I don't have anything to share for the report of the chair other than, it continues to be a, really challenging circumstances for the district, but I hope that there's a sense of normalcy that has taken place now that we've gone through 3 weeks in terms of just getting things a little bit more comfortable and having the emergency plan in place, and then starting to have some of the long-term planning be more of the focus for the district. A lot of uncertainty still, and a lot of students that are still either families and students that are having a hard time with the current situations. But again, we trust that our district is doing everything that they can to try to reach our students and have as productive of a time through our remote learning plan as possible. I just want to thank once again, and we've been doing this almost every day, but I just want to thank once again the superintendent and his staff for all the work that they've done. It's a tremendous weight that they're lifting, and the fact that it just keeps going and going, and that they keep showing up and working so hard. We should all be really proud to be part of this team. I'm glad that we have our students here, and I'm big thumbs up to you guys. I hope that you guys are hanging in there as well. And remember that if you guys ever need anything, you have a lot of friends here and on the board that are here to support you. So don't be shy to holler at us. Having said that, I don't know which student is report today.
Mr. Parrott is scheduled, but I don't think he's not here, so I don't think.
And I know that he's had some technology issues with his meeting, so we'll skip through that and we'll go to the report of the superintendent. So Tanner, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to begin my comments today by recognizing the original inhabitants of the land on which our city and schools stand, the Maliseet, Micmac, Penobscot, and Passamaquoddy tribes, known collectively as the Wabanaki, or people of the Dawnland. We're honored to have their children among our students today. As you heard, 3 weeks have passed since we closed our schools on March 16th in an effort to stop the spread of COVID-19. We have another 3 weeks to go. 4 if you count the April break week. As we shared in our communication to families last week, our plan is to make a decision on whether or not to extend the closure at the start of next week. So that's the week before the April break. Barring an extension, we're planning to return to school on May 4th. As I noted in my comments last week, I couldn't be prouder of our staff, students, and families for the incredible resilience, goodwill, and commitment to learning that they have shown. I'm asking for persistence and stamina as we go on. These past 3 weeks have not been easy, but they would not have been possible but for teamwork. So I'm asking our whole team, families, students, and PPS staff to carry on as we approach and go beyond a month of remote learning. At last week's meeting, you asked how many of our students are not connected. We do not have the exact number, but it appears that in our elementary schools, all but a very few students have not been in contact with their teachers at all. And overall, about 90% of our students are completing a significant portion of their assignments. At the comprehensive high schools, about 80 to 85% of students have been in contact with their teachers and are completing at least some of their work. Overall, our staff have identified that students who were not very engaged when school was open are a significant segment of the disconnected student population. Another important segment of the population is made up of students with intensive English language needs, many of whom had little experience with technology prior to this period. The remainder tend to be students with significant behavioral health needs, students whose parents are working and cannot provide ongoing monitoring and support, and a handful whose parents have decided to provide alternative means of education during the closure. Assistant Superintendents Nally and Townsend have taken responsibility for the coordination of identifying and building strategies to increase our access to and support for these students. You may have seen the article in this Sunday's Press Herald about efforts across the state to ensure that students have access to the technology needed to effectively participate in remote learning. At this time, we have a list of fewer than 100 students for whom we've not yet been able to provide connectivity on devices. So altogether, that's about 1% of our total population. And I would like to publicly thank our Executive Director of Data and Technology, Mustafa Rostampour, and his team, particularly Jay Weisberg and Jamie Kearney, for their foresight and commitment to sticking with it until we close the digital divide. Our IT techs are on the front line of creating the environment that allows our students to continue to learn. They, along with our custodians, our food service department, and our transportation workers, are continuing to make themselves available to show up for work and continue to support our infrastructure. We would not be able to function without these essential employees. We owe them a big debt of gratitude for their commitment to our mission and understanding of the critical role that they play. As we indicated last week, we continue to make adjustments and changes to our remote learning plans. In response to concerns that have been raised about student and educator privacy, we shared a new set of virtual recording guidelines with our staff and followed that up with some points in our letter to families last week, which said, among other things, that no student is required to participate by video or post any picture in any platform that presents their image online, and will always be asked before a recording is made whether they wish to opt out of recording by being present by audio rather than video. Also, any recordings made constitute an educational record and will be preserved and stored safely and according to the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. Also, in order to keep civil discourse online, students and families should not take screenshots or videos of lessons or other remote learning and share those with others, as this would compromise the privacy of teachers and other students. And finally, as is true when school is in session, students should use the technology for educational purposes only and must not use these tools to speak badly about or bully anyone. Late last week, our core content team, led by Curriculum Director Jesse Robinson, published a set of 9 baseline lessons in math and science-based writing for elementary teachers to use, 1 in each subject for each day left before the April break. While these standards-aligned, pedagogically sound lessons are not required, the purpose is to assist any teacher that might be struggling to complete the necessary remote planning for instruction or looking for supplemental resources. On Friday afternoon, Executive Director of Communications and Community Partnerships, Grace Valenzuela, and I met with Youth Empowered and other student leaders from across our 3 high schools. They shared their experiences with remote learning so far, and their experiences mirror in many ways what you heard from our own student reps during last week's meeting. In general, they've transitioned into remote learning. They were, by and large, incredibly complimentary of their teachers for both their ability to transition in such a short period of time and for their flexibility and resilience. They did talk about the challenges that they face in trying to keep up with the pace and demands of remote learning while staying at home. Many of them compete for device time with their siblings or are responsible for supporting younger siblings with their care and supervise the remote learning while their parents work. They also discussed mixed experiences with their ability to connect in a meaningful way with their teachers and classmates. And many of them expressed concern about the lack of social connection while they submit to stay-at-home orders. They also are understandably grieving the loss of many rites of passage, particularly the seniors. They also had a ton of questions about graduation and other significant events in the life of students, such as prom and athletics. They're anxious to understand what is going to happen with AP and SAT testing and have suggestions on how to modify our experience for them in the coming weeks. It was incredibly helpful to spend time with this cross-section of Portland Public School student leaders. As always, I came away with a better understanding of what we're doing well and areas where we need to improve. And as always, I came away impressed with the wisdom, resourcefulness, and resilience of our students. I also realized, it was evident, how important school is in the lives of so many of our students. And finally, I realized I really miss seeing them out and about doing what they do. Tonight, we have a very short meeting with a single substantive item on the agenda, but I would like to remind the board and members of the public that immediately following the meeting, the board will meet an executive session with legal counsel and staff to discuss the powers and duties of the board. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent. Before we move on, just a quick reminder that as we move to our action items, that votes will be taken by roll call. The board members will use their raise their hand feature should they wish to address the board, and I will acknowledge the speaker, and the board members then need to lower their hand using the feature when they're finished speaking. Both the co-host and I are able to manage muting you, so we'll try to take care of that as we move along. And also, I should have said this during the report of the chair, public comment will be announced. The members of the public should also use their raise a hand feature provided by Zoom. And this feature is either found in the webinar control bar at the bottom of your screen, or it can be found by selecting your name on the participant screen. And I will call the name of the Zoom address with the hand raised to address the board. But public members will have 3 minutes to comment. And should the speaker near the 3-minute mark, I will address the speaker to see if additional time is needed. And then we may grant an additional 3 minutes. And if the additional time is granted at the end of 6 minutes, then the speaker's mic will be muted. So having said that, we'll move to our first item is personnel items. Consideration and action to approve the personnel items listed, election of administrators. Is there a motion? Ms. Morioni, second by Mr. Atkinson. Will the superintendent please speak to the motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Tonight, I'm pleased to bring an important administrative appointment for your approval. After completing a search and interview process, I'm recommending that you appoint Allison Dame and Abdullahi Ahmed as co-principals at Deering High School. Ms. Dame and Dr. Ahmed, as you know, have served as interim co-principals since August of last year. As we entered the search process in January, we were committed to finding the best leadership for Deering High School. As such, we posted the position nationally. We had a total of 21 applicants representing 6 states. Our initial screening process involved a series of performance-based interview tasks for the 6 of the external candidates. A total of 6 candidates, 3 internal and 3 external, were advanced to the formal interviews with a Deering interview committee, which was made up of a diverse group of 23 Deering staff, students, and parents. In recognition of the fact that we have experienced a successful year in our co-principalship arrangement, the interview committee was given the option to choose a single candidate or to continue with that model as part of their recommendation. After completing the interviews, the co-principalship was the highest ranked recommendation from the committee. In the final round of interviews with me and Assistant Superintendents Townsend and Nally, it became evident why. Ms. Dame and Dr. Ahmed demonstrated that they are ideally situated to lead the school. This goes beyond what they've already shown in practice this year. I was most impressed by their ability to articulate a vision for Deering that is aligned to our district's commitment to the Portland Promise. They articulated a clear instructional vision for Deering, a vision where learning is rigorous, relevant, and grounded in what students need to develop intellectually as citizens and as young adults. They articulated a clear commitment to creating a more equitable and just school, one where every member of the school community understands what is expected from them and is held responsible in a formative and restorative way for living up to those norms. And also a commitment to tapping the great diversity of background and perspective that makes Deering unique to make Deering stronger. Finally, they are committed to growing a sense of collective efficacy through distributed leadership where the voices of the entire Deering community, faculty and staff, students and families are heard and validated through the actions of the school. And every bit as importantly, they made a clear and coherent case for how they complement and strengthen each other and make each other exponentially better as a result. I have personally seen this emerge over the course of the past year, but perhaps the best examples come from words of DHS staff over the course of the year. One staff member noted that they make a wonderful team, and another that they present a united front leading with technology and heart. But the best way to highlight how their teamwork adds up is in the words of a staff member who noted, quote, "So many of us have stepped up, but I say that's the way it should be. A school like DHS should be a collaborative and collective effort to provide the most engaging and relevant educational experience." I'm also happy to announce that Jim Moses, who has been interim assistant principal this year, has agreed to return in that same role next year. Jim, like many others, did not know what to expect coming into this year. He joined the effort to stabilize DHS because of his deep commitment for the school that he served so well for so many years. Over the course of this year, Jim has become increasingly confident that Deering is on the right course and expressed his interest in returning if we continued with a co-principalship arrangement. Last week, we confirmed with Jim that he is willing to continue as interim assistant principal for the 2021 school year. Ms. Dame and Dr. Ahmed, and indeed the entire Portland Public Schools leadership team are honored to also have Mr. Moses round out the Deering administrative team. And with that, I would like to ask for your approval of my recommendation to appoint Allison Dame and Abdullahi Ahmed as co-principals of Deering High School.
Thank you, Superintendent. Are there any questions on the motion? I see Ms. Thompson physically raising her hand. Let me
I just have a quick question.
go for it.
Javier, so when you talk about co-principals, budgetary-wise, any implications in regards to that? Could you talk about that?
Um, there are some implications, as both of them are paid on the principal scale, where normally we have a single principal and then two assistant principals. So I don't have it's in your packet what the actual salaries are, and I don't exactly know how that compares to what it would have been if we had had, or what it was the previous year when we had another principal in that position.
I see Barb is on. Would she? I don't want to put her on the spot, but would she have that information or no?
I can tell you what the amounts are, but I don't think that either Barb or I can tell you how that compares to what it was the year before.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions on the motion? Seeing none, there are no public comments on personnel items. Is there any board discussion? Ms. Bondo? Oops, sorry. Go for it.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, so this is just a great choice and something that I was advocate for a long time is just happening. And I'm so grateful for the commission because this is, are we okay?
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay. So this is exactly what I was looking for, to have insiders for the range. And the two pairs, I mean, Alison and Dr. Ahmed, they show everybody from last year where they were able to complete each other for doing. So they brought the strength outside for the ring. They really advocate for the different voice. So we saw them in actions, and I'm just so thankful. And I think together they will bring a strong vision and to continue the mission for the Portland Public School. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bondo. We'll go to Ms. Morioni.
Hi. Yeah, I just want to echo what Ms. Bondo just said. Having seen firsthand Dr. Ahmed and Ms. Dame in action right from the beginning when they were asked if they would take the leadership, take the helm, they did it with grace, professionalism. They went to their staff. They worked collectively with all of their staff at Deering and also listened to parents. They wanted their parents' input as well as students. They don't do it on their own. And I think any leader, a strong leader, works much better when they work as a team, not just among the two of them, but they're, again, all their staff, students, and parents. And they certainly have shown that over the last few months. And again, having a senior and having a graduate of Deering, I know that there can be hard times, but they have pulled us through remarkably well. And I'm so excited to be voting in favor tonight for the two of them to continue leading Deering. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morioni. Any other any other board discussion? Seeing none, I have a few things I want to share with the board and the public. With all the unprecedented changes that everyone at the Portland Public Schools is experiencing due to COVID-19, I am very happy that one thing at Deering High School isn't going to change, and that's the school's leadership. Over the past year, the school has been in the very capable hands of co-principals, Ms. Alison Dame and Dr. Abdullahi Ahmed. And now, in recognition of their achievements of the past year and the unique qualities that each brings to the job, I'm beyond pleased to support their appointment on a permanent basis. A nationwide search confirmed that we already had the best people for the job right there at Deering. At most schools, there's a single principal, but the partnership of Dr. Ahmed and Ms. Dame works very well at Deering. They complement each other with their strong, distinct leadership styles and collaborate very effectively. Their leadership has empowered everyone in the Deering family, staff, students, and family to work together to contribute significantly to a positive year. Also, Ms. Dame and Dr. Ahmed have worked with the Deering community to articulate an equity vision for learning at Deering that is grounded in how to best serve each learner and celebrating the school's diversity. Keeping Ms. Dame and Dr. Ahmed at the helm will ensure the positive momentum at Deering over the past year will continue. And I'm also happy that Jim Moses will return next year as interim assistant principal, adding his steady leadership to the mix. With the uncertainty caused by COVID-19 virus, I'm grateful for the continuity this team of outstanding school leaders will provide to Deering. Additionally, I understand that Dr. Ahmed is the first Black principal in a Portland Public Schools building. And although it's not confirmed, I believe he will now be the first Black principal in the entire state of Maine. So I'm immensely proud to be part of the board right now, and the vote that I'm about to cast in support of his appointment. It's unfortunate that we have to hold this meeting virtually, because I wish I could walk right over to my good friend, Dr. Ahmed, and shake his hand to congratulate him. And I'm lucky to know you, Dr. Ahmed, and Portland Public Schools is lucky to have your leadership in our district. We're all blessed for this moment. So having said that, all those in favor, sorry.
I actually have the roll call now, so
I was just gonna say, do you have the list, Javier?
Yeah.
So let me, I guess, read the motion, and then we'll pass it to a vote. So all those in favor of approving the personnel items listed, election of administrators, please indicate when your name is called.
Mr. Atkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Balfons,
Yes.
Ms. Bondo,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Ms. Figdor,
Yes.
Ms. Morioni,
Yes.
Ms. Thompson,
Yes.
Ms. Trevorrow,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Habib Saeed, Ms. Langala,
Yes, présente.
and Chair Rodriguez.
Yes. And that's unanimous with the students voting with the majority. Absolutely. So both Ms. Dame and Dr. Ahmed are here in our meeting. I don't know if they wanted to address the board. You obviously you're not obligated to do it, but you're more than welcome to speak to us and the public if you'd like. I see Ms. Dame nodding.
One of our challenges as co-principal is figuring out who goes first when we're on Zoom.
You guys should speak at the same time. It'll be fun.
Dr. Ahmed, you can go first.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to Superintendent Botana and the cabinet, and then the board. It's been actually kind of powerful for me, like Javier was saying about, it was nice to see students. It feels really good for me to see the community that we serve after three weeks of just Zooming with my colleagues at Deering. It makes the work feel just so real and grounded. And then just to say that this year, has been a catalyst for me as a person and as a leader. And I'm tremendously grateful that I was given the chance to lead. It really transformed me. And I think it also collectively was transformative for Deering as a community. So, we took care of some urgent needs over this year, and I couldn't be more proud of what we did together, but I also think we're poised to do even more going forward. So I want to just thank you for the opportunity.
Dr. Ahmed?
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Chair Roberto Rodriguez, all board members, greetings. And I want to thank you very much for your confidence and vote tonight. And I want to also thank Mr. Botana, Mr. Townsend, and Ms. Nally for their support and confidence on us as leaders. I want to also thank Deering community, students, families, staff for their trust, and together we are looking forward to make Deering a better place and Portland Public Schools better school system together. And Ms. Damon, I actually first when I came up with like we are complementary, I was just using my I used to be a math teacher before as well, and so I was using like saying like this is the closest word to say like we support each other and challenge each other's ideas and come up with the best ideas. And, we are committed to use Portland Promise as our comprehensive plan to achieve better student outcomes and make our school better, build on our strengths, and face the challenges together. So we are looking forward actually to work with Deering and make things better. So again, I'm really grateful to be working for Portland Public Schools and being a parent and resident in Portland. And Roberto Rodriguez and others, I admire your leadership and I thank you very much for entrusting us with this. And thank you, Javier, for the confidence and support.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed, and thank you, Ms. Dame. We're all thrilled for this, and again, also unfortunate that we have to do it through these virtual meetings, but it's still a very special moment for us here at Portland Public Schools and for the Deering family, of course. Next, I guess, given that it's before the hour of 10, it's 6:43. This must be a record. Is there any public comment on items not in this evening's agenda? A reminder that we ask members of the public to use the raise your hand feature in Zoom, and I will call the Zoom address with the hand raised, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Should you near the 3-minute mark, I will ask if additional time is needed and may grant an additional 3 minutes. If the additional time is granted, and you have reached the 6 minutes and have not finished, know that your mic will be muted. So if anyone wishes to address the board, the floor is open right now. We'll just wait a few moments to see if anyone does raise their hand. All right, so we have, Anne-Marie Orth. We'll mute you, and like I said, you'll have 3 minutes to address the board.
Hi there. My name is Anne-Marie Orth, and I live at 47 Westminster Avenue in Portland, Maine, and I've lived here for 16 years. I'm a parent of 2 public Portland school students. I'm a Spanish teacher, and I've been a Spanish teacher for 16 years in the district. And currently I'm part-time world language acquisition specialist for the past 3 years. And I've actually taught some of your children. I think I've taught Alex and Gabriel. First, I want to acknowledge the difficult circumstances under which we have to proceed with the budget. And many thanks to you all, the school board members, for working so hard through this process. Unfortunately, it's much harder for the public to be aware and involved in the process because people are feeding their families, people are, trying to deal. So this has to do with the elementary world language program. And I do understand the reason to consider eliminating the elementary world language program in order to funnel more resources to our ELL population. I also want to inform you of how the program has contributed to the making of a world-class world language program here in Portland Public Schools and what that loss may mean. And I'm coming from a few different perspectives as a parent, a teacher, and a language specialist. First, I have greatly appreciated my own kids growing up getting to learn another language, along with many other 4th and 5th graders in Portland Public Schools. I have taught middle schoolers who did have elementary world language and those who did not have it, and the difference is remarkable. A younger child's ability to acquire another language far surpasses an older child's. Furthermore, a younger child is more likely to be less inhibited to attempt speaking and learning another language. Finally, this year there are 6 seniors graduating with the seal of biliteracy whom I taught in middle school and who also had Spanish in elementary school. It's extremely gratifying to witness their growth in a language that I didn't get to start learning until 8th grade. And I know that their second language experience will always be a part of them and will help them take action in the world. So if the World Language Elementary program is eliminated, I realize that it will still be kept at Ocean Ave to maintain their International Baccalaureate certification, which leads to even more unequalness amongst the students' elementary language experience. So just in closing, I wanted to read a quotation from one of my former students who did earn the seal a few years ago, Nasteo, and she said, "By learning both languages, I was able to become more open-minded. I no longer saw the world through a single lens, but rather through multiple lenses." So please reconsider the possible elimination of, please reconsider not eliminating the World Language Elementary program in next year's budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Is there any other public comment? I'll just wait another moment just to make sure no one's, oh, there we go. So we have Kate. We'll unmute you and you'll have 3 minutes to address the board.
Okay, thank you. I too am a parent. I have 2 children who, well, actually one child right now who's in Lyseth Elementary. Last year, my 5th grader graduated from there. And just wanted to say in support of programs, it's a very important reason that we find great value in that. And I think that in support of the district's goal of looking at equity and inclusion, I think that, you know, encouraging and having world languages as a benefit to our children is really important. So just as a parent and as someone who values all of the benefits of that, I ask that, you know, that the board continues to look at, you know, keeping that program. That's very important to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. And again, I'll just wait a few moments to see if anyone else wants to address the board. So I see physically someone raising their hand. Is that Elizabeth Greer? Give me a second. I'm looking you up through the. All right. So Elizabeth Greer, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. So I'm a teacher at Portland High School, and I'm a Spanish teacher. One thing that struck me was hearing an assumption that there might be a Spain-centric curriculum in our district, and I just wanted to highlight that couldn't be further from the truth, especially at Portland High, with all of the students we have from different Spanish-speaking countries. For example, I am Argentine and American, and I bring an Argentine perspective to the curriculum. I've noticed that students who had Spanish in elementary school are so keen and so open to having these connections with our students from other Spanish-speaking countries. And I think that's something really special that we have in this district, and I would be sad to see that disappear because we don't have students who are able to access a higher level of Spanish. Also, a student wrote a letter, which I'm going to share with you later, but I'll just share a part of that letter right now. She's had Spanish in elementary school, and she said, learning Spanish when I was young strongly impacted success and depth of my understanding of Spanish in my teenage years. While elementary level Spanish teaches mainly the basics, those basics are key for having a deeper understanding and being able to more easily learn Spanish. I sincerely hope you consider every possible option before cutting the elementary foreign language funding, and I urge you to keep foreign language an option for elementary students in Portland. Thank you, unquote. So I just wanted to share that sentiment of my student, and just also want to highlight that students who are native Spanish speakers also appreciate these programs just as much as students learning Spanish, because they're continuing to connect with literacy and writers from their own native language. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, if there's no one else that's going to address the board, we will close the public comments section. And Javier, I did have a question. Do we need to have, before the next item will be to adjourn, but before we do that, do we need to have the vote to go into executive session in the meeting or in the Zoom? You're muted.
I don't know. We've never done this before, so I don't know if this is something, Bruce, can you help us to understand that? I don't know if Bruce is here. He just stepped out.
I'm here.
Hello, Bruce. We can hear you.
Adjourn the meeting first.
Take the motion. Take the vote to go into executive session now, and that would end your public meeting.
Okay, so do we also need the vote to adjourn?
You can do that after the executive session.
Okay. Ooh, that's gonna be tricky. All right. So consideration and action to enter into executive session with legal counsel pursuant to 1 MRSA section 405 subsection 6 subsection E concerning the rights and duties of the board. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session? Ms. Thompson, second by Mr. Burke. We need a roll call for the vote. Superintendent.
Mr. Atkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Balfons?
Yes.
Ms. Bondo?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Ms. Figdor?
Yes.
Ms. Morioni?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Trevorrow?
Yeah.
And Chair Rodriguez.
Yes. And so that's unanimous. Just a reminder for board members, we have to exit this meeting room, and we have a link for the executive session so that it be closed to the public. Okay? Thank you all for everything. Oh, again, thank you all for everything. I'll see you guys on the executive session meeting.